Warm greetings from the High 10. It is Everyday Shenanigans, and thanks for joining me. As most of you know, tomorrow, the 21st of September, will mark 9 months that the Cal City brothers were reported missing from California City, California. And before I start that commentary, I would like to bring an update pertaining to Deshina Kyle, who was 27 years of age. She's missing here out of Knoxville, Tennessee. She's an African-American female. I know some of her family members, and I know they're still distraught with her disappearance, and I want to bring an update pertaining to her story before I discuss the Cal City boys marking 9 months. Thank you all for joining me.
Police Department are continuing the search for a missing 26-year-old woman, Denisha Kyle. She was reported missing nearly 3 months ago on June 28th. She's not been seen or heard from since June 23rd, according to police. Kyle was reported missing at Wilson Road. Her whereabouts remain unknown. Investigators are still searching for her. If anybody sees Kyle, you're urged to call 911 right away.
Okay. That's a brief news clipping. WVLT Channel 8 News. If anyone has seen Deshina Kyle, you know of her whereabouts or anything pertaining to her disappearance, please notify the Knoxville Police Department. As I had brought you commentary months ago, a guy that had been dating her on and off was arrested on a violation of probation drug charge. To my knowledge, he is still incarcerated. I do not know if he is behind the disappearance of Deshina Kyle. Possibly he does have some information pertaining to her whereabouts. But if you know anything, please notify the Knoxville Police Department pertaining to Deshina Kyle. And this is by Channel 8 News, update about 4 hours ago. Thank you all so very much. This is just very sad that we have all these people missing. Nobody knows anything pertaining to the disappearance of these people, especially in our community. We do have a lot of people that are missing. Thank you all for joining me. Got 12 viewing. That's okay. Slow run today. Just 1 second. Get all my information ready. As I state, this is a serious situation with the children missing in this country. And I don't know why certain stories are picked and not chosen. There's obviously a reason why certain stories are chosen versus other. And it is sad that we have to sit here and decipher which is which. Why certain children get more airtime or airplay versus other stories. As most of you know, the Cal City boys were featured on the ID channel with John Walsh, and they have also appeared on commentary on Court TV. Thank you for joining me. And some play is better than no play. And that's the sad part about the story, is that they haven't got the airtime that other children have gotten. And we have to ask ourselves, why is that? Is there a reason why? That these children have not gotten the airtime? As you see, there's a woman who's been missing, and she's gotten a lot of airtime. Miss Gabby, Caucasian female. It's all over the news, all over the wire, YT, social media. People sitting by watching to see the results of her body being discovered. Perhaps it's her body. So we have to ask ourselves, why that case? And some people have thought and have mentioned that perhaps the reason these children are not getting the airtime is because they are African American. I don't know, but I do question why certain cases get more airtime, more publicity for the said person's missing. I'm going to bring you some commentary. News.sky.com is the source. Off limits. Why are Black kids more likely to go missing in the U.S.? It took 18 days for the police to start looking for 8-year-old Relisha Rudd. As one of 500 children staying at Washington, D.C.'s largest homeless shelter, Relisha was in need of protection. She didn't get it. In February, a local homeless charity interviewed Relisha on camera. All kids need a place to play, she said shyly. A month after that interview was recorded, Relisha disappeared. She hasn't been seen since. Black children like Relisha are much more likely to go missing than white kids living in America. 421,394 children went missing in the U.S. in 2019. African American children make up 14% of children in the United States, and yet they make up 37% of those who went missing. What makes them so vulnerable? To this day, no one knows what became of Relisha Rudd. She remains a missing person. In her short lifetime, she had seen things no child should have to see, according to her grandmother, Melissa Young. Relisha called the homeless shelter where she lived a trap house. You know, when they say trap house, it's because drugs are being sold around or near, says Melissa. The trap house was D.C. General, a rundown former hospital that had been converted into a shelter for homeless families in the U.S. Capitol. The shelter's caretaker, Khalil Tatum, took an interest in Relisha. CCTV footage of Relisha in the final days before she disappeared shows her in the company of Mr. Tatum in a motel. The pictures show him guiding her into a room. Relisha was seen on March 1st, 2014. It wasn't until March 19th that police started to look for her, alerted by her school teachers who had become concerned. They haven't found Relisha. They did discover the caretaker, Khalil Tatum, dead. He'd taken his own life shortly after Relisha disappeared. What happened to her granddaughter is a mystery that torments Melissa Young. It makes me want to just pull my hair out, run away, and lock myself away. I kept asking myself, why her? And in this said commentary, you will see a picture of the decedent man and the grandmother. Relisha's disappearance shone a spotlight on the dire situation endured by the children at D.C. General. The shelter was since closed. But problems persist across the United States for millions of vulnerable children, and more than half of America's homeless families are Black. Racial inequality. In the United States, proportionally twice as many Black families are living in poverty than white families. Black households beneath the poverty line number 1 in 5. The comparative figure for white families is 1 in 10. In some of the poorest neighborhoods in Washington, D.C., where the majority of residents are African American, people frequently go missing, says Henderson Long. These folks, they don't have any money. They don't have somebody to come and advise them on their case, to be a liaison between them and the police department. Mr. Long hunts for missing people. He works as a telephone engineer during the day, but whenever he sees an alert about a missing person, he hits the streets, handing out flyers and looking for leads. His effort to help others is inspired by what happened to him. Mr. Long's aunt, Aline Logan, disappeared in 1999. For 20 years, no one knew what had happened to her. I got my first crash course to be out talking to dope dealers, prostitutes, drug addicts, residents, police officers, he says. In 2019, police matched DNA from Aline's relatives to a body they discovered in 2000. Many of those Mr. Long searched for have run away from home, and they turn up quickly. Some don't. He says poverty and inequality in Black communities create the conditions that can lead children to flee troubled circumstances. You see a lack of jobs, poor affordable housing. You see the education that they get in these areas is far inferior. You see a lot of domestic violence. More than 90% of children who go missing in the U.S. run away from home. They're usually running from a condition or running to a condition, meaning someone's luring them out. Sex trafficking. In the United States, 1 in 6 children who run away are likely to become victims of sex trafficking. Tina Front was trafficked by her adult boyfriend when she was 14 years old. Some of the looser statistics show 73% of trafficking survivors in the U.S. are people of color, says Tina. Tina runs an organization that helps African American survivors of sex trafficking called Courtney's House. She thinks the media and the police are more likely to view white children as victims and black children as criminals. When I was 15, I told the police I had a pimp and I got arrested and charged for prostitution. But she has seen the police treat white children differently. A good friend of mine, she's Caucasian, the police drove her home and I was put in the juvenile detention for a year, says Tina. Many African Americans feel that whites get more resources, says Henderson Long. Police. Veronica Iyenga believes bias and prejudice stopped the police from properly investigating her niece's disappearance. Jolie Musa went missing after high school on January 12, 2018. She was 16 years old. We're telling the police that there's definitely something wrong. She would never have gone like this and completely stopped communication. But the police said it looked like Jolie was a runaway. What we really quickly discovered was that with the use of that word, there was no further action being done on her case, says Veronica. 2 weeks later, the police found Jolie's body in a park less than a mile from where she was last seen. She has been discarded in the woods like yesterday's trash, says Veronica. Jolie was murdered by Nabiyu Ibrahim, an ex-boyfriend who had previously attacked her. Veronica believes Jolie's race played a part in the police's decision to treat her as a runaway. If they had not said she was a runaway, if law enforcement had started looking for her more urgently at the time we reported her as missing, could they have found her alive? In a statement, the Fairfax County Police Department said, Jolie was initially reported missing on January 13th, and our officers immediately began investigating. Ibrahim was promptly identified as a person of interest in her disappearance. Every piece of technology and resource available to our department was deployed to solve this case. The media plays a vital role in the search for a missing child, but many Black families and campaigners feel that white children are far more likely to make the news headlines than children of color. In a study in 2015 found that 35% of missing children were Black, but only 7% of media stories about missing children involve African American cases. Media commentators call this bias, labeling it missing white woman syndrome. Everyone wants to hear about the little white girl with blonde hair and blue eyes that got kidnapped and trafficked in a van. Tina Front. Jatine Borders runs Peas in Their Pods, an organization that campaigns for more media coverage for Black children. I think the media definitely airs what they think people are more interested in. It's a byproduct of what goes on in the world, and what the world has shown pretty consistently is that Black children are lesser valued, says Jatine. Relisha Rudd was one of the only few Black children to make the national news headlines. It was a made-for-TV movie that was real, says Jatine. Melissa Young, Relisha Rudd's grandmother, clings to the hope that somehow, somewhere, she may still be alive. Every year on March 1st, the anniversary of her disappearance, sees a renewed search effort. Melissa hands out flyers with a picture of what Relisha might look like now, and you will see this in the said article, a picture of the grandmother. As hopeless as this looks, hope is all she's got. And that is the said information from Sky News. This information is just a bit of this and that of different people missing, African American children, older children, young. The one thing that's strange about Relisha's story is that she has a grandmother. So what we have to ask ourselves is, why did this grandmother not take care of the child? What happened to her? So you have all these questions when you have living relatives. Why are they not here, there, staying with this person, that person? As I state, tomorrow will mark 9 months that the brothers were reported missing by Jacqueline and Giselle West out of Cal City. As most of you know, the case was handed over shortly after Cal City retrieved it over to Bakersfield Police Department. Periodically, we got little bits of information from Bakersfield Police Department pertaining to the children. But as of date, the children have not been seen. There have been no lucrative, solid sightings of the children, any information to their location, to where they can be found, alive or deceased. Still an open investigation into this case pertaining to the Cal City boys. And as you see with this information, that possibly this is a media situation, because we have to ask ourselves, why not two little boys missing getting national coverage more often? More often. And as we know, a lot of people are missing in general. And naturally, those said cases, whether they are of children or an adult, will get airtime every day. Every day, all day, every other week, every other month. Possibly not, because there are a lot of people missing from state to state. And naturally, each person will not get the airtime, even if it is deemed foul play by law officials. But these are two brothers who allegedly went missing from a backyard in Cal City. So to me, this is a very odd and bizarre case due to the fact it's two children. And you rarely hear of two children going missing at the same time, being kidnapped at the same time, even possibly trafficked at the same time. So where are the Cal City brothers? Are they alive? Are they living with someone? Did someone take care of them, went in, got them out of that backyard? Did Jacqueline Giselle West hand them over to someone that they knew or knows the children? Did they sell the children? So many questions, so many possibilities of where the children could be. But no information as of yet late pertaining to these children. And it is baffling to not know anything about the kids. You don't hear anything. So where are they? Where are the children? It's a very sad situation. We don't know anything. We don't hear of anything. So we have to ask ourselves, where are they? And who knows something? And as I state, coverage now has gone to national level with an interview of the adoptive parents doing an interview with ABC News many months ago, John Walsh ID channel picking up the story, and also Court TV. They are currently covering the story. And Bayou Wong periodically airs commentary pertaining to the children, although he is now working for a Colorado affiliate because he is no longer working in California as a newscaster. But it's nice to know that he still talks about the children. I do not know of any airplay transpiring right now pertaining to the children as of today. Maybe they'll air something later on today or tomorrow, because as I state, tomorrow will mark 9 months to the date. Tomorrow is the 21st of September, and the children were reported missing December 21st, 2020, out of Cal City. You're entitled to believe what you want pertaining to the children. Everyone has their theories when it comes to missing children. What happened? What happened? What happened? Where are they? Where are they? Who has them? Who do you think has them? I never make a claim about where the children are because, one, I don't know the children. I don't know Jacqueline and Giselle West, and I don't know anything of said information pertaining to the Bio family. Many people have their speculations of who they think took the kids, got the kids, all type of innuendos. But in the end, the only people that know where the children are the people that got them gone. And sadly, we don't have any updates. No updates. Why is that? What does Bakersfield, California have, law officials? What do they have on these children? What information do they have? Anything. would be nice to hear. But naturally, you're not going to hear anything because it's an open investigation. And I'm just searching a queue of things right now as I'm talking to you. And everything is old. Everything is old pertaining to the children. The last time something was reported, I've got a date of August 13th, 2021, and this is pertaining to the Investigation Discovery Show to air a segment pertaining to the missing California City boys, and this is by Bakersfield.com. And it basically reads, In Pursuit with John Walsh, a show on Investigation Discovery, will air a segment about 2 California City boys that vanished December 21st, 2020, and are still missing on its season 3 premiere. And at the time that the children went missing, it was a 4-year-old by the name of Orrin West and 3-year-old Orson West. And naturally, one of the children has had a birthday, and he has turned 5. And they were last seen playing in the backyard in California City when their adoptive parents reported them missing. In this said commentary, it says you can dial 1-833-3-PURSUE or submit information at inpursuittips.com. And naturally, you can notify the local California Bureau of Investigations for tips, solid tips pertaining to the disappearance of Orrin and Orson. It's even hard saying their names because sometimes people call them by their adoptive names. Some people call them by their biological names. But it's a very odd and weird story pertaining to these kids, because you just never heard of 2 children missing from a backyard. So are these parents complicit in the disappearance of the children? Did they do something to the children? Did they give them away? Did they sell them? Did they hand them off to family members that are related to the children? What happened to the children? Where are the children? Frankly, due to the fact that there's nothing that the police has given us as concrete from day one, as of location, car, description of a person taking the kids, being seen with the kids, no doorbell cameras to release anyone being seen with the children. And perhaps we don't know that information because they haven't released it. So I can't say that they don't have that. But it's odd and it's peculiar. And usually there's information about the disappearance of anyone within 3 hours. And 3 hours is a pivotal time for anybody to go missing. If they don't have information about your disappearance after 3 hours, you are deemed in dire straits. And the case gets harder and harder after 3 hours. And that's common sense. Because if you don't have any type of CC footage, you don't have a location of a person, description of a person, an automobile, it makes the case worse. Because if there's no one to say, I saw the children get in a car, red car, I saw them walk off with a tall figure, short figure, white figure, black figure, Hispanic figure, it makes the case worse with no identifying factors. And we all know that for those who follow true crime, that when an Amber Alert is issued, it's only issued when there are identifying factors, such as a description of a said person or persons and or a vehicle make. And in this case, none of those factors were ever introduced into the disappearance of the California City brothers. So where are they? I don't believe they walked away. I don't think they ran away. I don't think they wandered off. That area is all flat. It's not like here in Tennessee where we have hills, a lot of bushes and trees and shrubbery where you could get lost and unidentified quickly. It's flat land out there. It's the desert. So if they were walking and wandered, you still could see them walking. Even miles off, you would be able to see them. Perhaps the children never made it to Cal City. And I believe that is why Bakersfield Police Department has the case now. It's because they realized the children came from Bakersfield. They lived there previously, were born there, have ties there. So it was understandable why Bakersfield Police Department took the case. But what is the truth? What information do they have on record pertaining to the brothers? Do they have any physical evidence pertaining to the disappearance of the children? Do they have phone records that lead to something suspicious, felonious pertaining to the disappearance of the children? Is there valid, concrete CCTV footage of the children leaving that house on that day or before, either by the parents and or somebody else? Is there CCTV footage that the children arrived at that said house 1 month, 2 months before the actual report of the children? And it is alleged it was fall of 2020 that the family moved to that said location with all 6 children. So what I'd like to know, who has footage of all parties entering that home in the fall of 2020? Will we ever find out that they actually took 6 children total to that house in Cal City? That will be the clincher of the story. And I do believe that is why Bakersfield Police Department let it be known that if anyone has seen the children in the previous year, to contact authorities. That told me a lot, that perhaps no one has seen the children in a year previous to December 21st, 2020. And if that is true, it will be even harder to locate the children, alive or deceased. And what we have to ask ourselves, if this was a orchestrated plan to move there to evade law officials and or anyone questioning their caretaking of their said children, perhaps that is the reason why they moved there. It's because someone was asking questions about the smaller children or their children in general. Maybe someone had been poking around asking questions. Maybe somebody needed to show up for a physical, a visit, dental visit, hospital visit, follow up with the DHS office out there. Because as you know, and some of you probably don't know, that the parents still receive a fee for adopting the children out of foster care. They are paid a monthly fee for taking care of foster children, which they did have 2 other children that were in foster care alongside the 2 adoptive brothers. So they get a fee for the adoptive children, and they also got a minute fee for the foster children. So 2 fees. So imagine that, receiving funds for foster children and then still being able to receive monies for adopting the 2 out of foster care. I do not know the amount that they were receiving for all said children, but I do notice in California law that the parents who adopt children out of foster care still receive monies up until the age of 18 for the children. So what we have to ask ourselves, what really happened with these kids? Because people have bickered back and forth what they think and why. Why would anyone do anything to a child if they adopted them? Well, that's really not even a sane question to ask, considering most children are harmed by their parents and caretakers. So why would this case be any different if indeed they harm their children? Why do you think they need a reason to hurt their kids? There's never no plausible reason to hurt a child. He or she can't defend themselves. What can a 3 or 4-year-old do to make you so angry that you would harm them, kill them? How can they fight you back? They are small children. Perhaps they got tired of the children. They were too rambunctious. That was said in the news interview, first and only news interview. And it's a very negative word to use, your first interview with the news pertaining to your missing children. And thereafter, we've heard nothing from Jacqueline and Trezell West pertaining to these missing kids. Why is that? It is sad that I'm speaking about this 9 months later, and I never thought that I would still be talking about the disappearance of these said children. I figured by now there would be an end to this story, that somebody would have been arrested in the disappearance of these children, or we'd have some type of information where they are located, either alive or deceased. And there is nothing pertaining to their whereabouts, any lucrative said solid sightings of the children. 9 months later, nothing, nada. Where are they? What did they do to these kids? And the sick part, besides the kids missing, is that these two refuse to talk to the news, speak to the news, speak to anybody visible about their own damn kids. And that leaves one that's sane and woke that they did something to their children and they checked out the day they got their kids gone. So therefore, they have nothing to say because they don't have anything invested. No valid photos ever uploaded to the media or FBI pertaining to the Cal City boys, which is also suspicious. Most people will give the news and the FBI numerous photos of their children, as so you can see different sides of the child, side views, front views. And that's common sense. You see, I believe they never had photos because they didn't take any photos. And if they did take photos of the children, they discarded them before reporting the children missing. And that is the even more diabolical, that you had pictures of your child, but you discarded them for some reason. And you know by now, law officials would have gladly uploaded pictures to the media of the said children. You're looking at the same photos. Nothing new about these kids. Why is that? Because I don't think they had any pictures of them. And that would be very suspicious to law officials. Why you, the parents who had these kids for at least a year and a half in your custody, then adopted them, don't have any newer or any pictures of your adoptive children in general. So then we have to ask ourselves the ultimate question. If they didn't have pictures of the said missing boys, did they have pictures of the other two foster care children in their possession and on their devices? So you have to ask all those pertinent questions. Because then you have to ask, what was the motivation behind adopting the children? Was this a ruse to make money? Because it was said they did not have income. Commentary came out about the wrangling of buying the house and not having money. We heard all those said rumors and commentary on the wire pertaining to the woman who sold the house, this and that, how people looked when they came with him, this and that, one person giving him a loan, the father, to purchase the house. So that leads one to believe he never had adequate funds for the house. But somehow it fell through for him to purchase the house. I believe they still have the house. So how would you buy a house? No money, no said income, no said credit. Why would you go way out to this barren land to take 6 children? It's a very small populated place as far as population, but the land is vast. More land than people. So once again, why did these two move out to the middle of nowhere with 6 children? And it's not to say that there aren't any children living in Cal City, but common sense. If there's not much to do for children, why would you want to move out there? And perhaps these people lived a recluse life. They lived this way before they even had children. This was their personality. They didn't want to be bothered with people, didn't have a lot of friends, family. But nonetheless, I would think if I was going to move somewhere, I had children, and I wanted my children to be productive children in society, I would live somewhere where the children can have access to things such as schools, shopping, activities, functions, amusement, even for myself. You don't stop living. They're young people. So what is the truth? To moving out there to Cal City, was this a ruse to move out there to evade law officials and or the state government pertaining to the children? Were they being investigated in Bakersfield? That's a very good question. Because perhaps they were already being investigated for something suspicious in their nature in dealing with their 6 children. And that is why they moved out there. But one should know that once you use your Social Security number, you can be found. So long as you are claiming state benefits, government benefits, you can be found. There is no hiding. So long as you are using your actual Social Security number and numbers. Did they ever take their children to the doctor? All 6 kids. Where are the people to give information pertaining to Jacqueline and Giselle West, who they are as people, when the last time they saw them with their said children? Why has there been no one to come forward to speak on the children, what they were like, their habits, the parents' habits, what the parents are like? Very odd. It is rare in a modern day that no one comes forward to tell you something about the said people and the said children. Now, when you compare this case to the Summer Wells case, the father can't stop talking. Don't you find it interesting? Each are pertaining to missing children. And on one side of the coast, the parents don't talk, the relatives don't talk. Not even somebody that worked at Starbucks or the Dollar Tree or McDonald's has a testimony pertaining to these people and their kids. No relatives come forward to give you any vital information about who these people are, her side of the family or his side, Jacqueline and Giselle West. But here in Hollerville, East Tennessee, you have nothing but information coming out about the said parents in the disappearance of Summer Wells. Why is that? Non-stop walkie-talkies, talking to every person they can on the wire to give information about themselves and not their missing child. And then in Cal City, you have nobody speaking. Nobody is talking. Not the biological parents, not the adoptive parents. Nobody has anything to say about where they were, what they were doing, what the children like to do, favorite color, favorite toys, nothing. But Summer Wells' case, it's a nonstop circus act. Walkie-talkie. Bio father can't stop talking. Very similar cases. No leads. 3 months. In one case, no sighting of a Caucasian female baby out of East Tennessee. Parents believed to be suspect in her disappearance. And 2 little black boys missing out of Cal City, and their adoptive parents are believed to be responsible for their disappearance. But yet, no solid leads. I don't know what law enforcement knows in both cases, but nonetheless, it is disturbing because these are children, and they are children who didn't ask to come here, as all of us. None of us asked to be here. We were brought here. We did not choose our parents. We did not choose the people who took care of us. We did not choose our surroundings, our environments. They were handed to us. And I do believe in both cases that the children were in dire straits from the moment they were conceived in the womb. Both cases, eerily similar. 4 children in East Tennessee born to chaotic, toxic parents. Same thing with the Cal City boys. Born in a toxic environment, not receiving the necessities to sustain life, handed into foster care, and now missing. It is a cruel life. And who would want that life? To be brought here and not be loved and or taken care of properly, to where you have to end up in foster care, to then end up missing, hurt or harmed, or worse. And that is a sad situation with both cases. 2 went into foster care in California. Now they are not seen. 1 goes missing in East Tennessee, and her 3 brothers are now in the state's care. And we have to pray that they don't end up with the same fate as the Cal City boys. You see, they are very similar. Very similar. And we have to pray that those brothers in Rogersville do not end up in a worst case scenario such as the Cal City boys. Very sad. I want to thank you all for joining me. I want to pray for all these missing children that are missing in America, Cal City, Rogersville, so many other places. I do not know if race is playing a role in why these children are not getting the coverage they desire, that people are desiring for them. I don't know if this is a race issue or not. I don't have any proof. I can't say, because as I said, so many children are missing. So many people are missing, black and white. But it's sad nonetheless that they're not discussed more. Nowhere near discussed as white children are discussed that go missing in America. It is sad. It's very sad. Prayers for all these children, Summer Wells and Cal City boys and other missing children and adults. Prayers for Deshina Kyle, missing out of Knoxville, Tennessee. There's an uploaded story pertaining to her. And if you go back in the early part of my video, I bring you said information to an update pertaining to the disappearance of Deshina Kyle, who would have turned 27 after the day or time that she went missing. She had a 27th birthday. Chadwick Carr, 32, also African-American male, missing out of Clinton, Tennessee from the foundation Halfway House. Make Mindy Lowe stand account. She's the proprietor of that said halfway house. Both adults still missing out of this area, and nobody knows anything. 2 small children missing out of Cal City. Nobody knows anything. 1 Caucasian child missing out of East Tennessee. Nobody knows anything. But we know that somebody knows something about every person I just mentioned, because somebody got all these said people gone. See, that's the scary part. It says somebody got Chadwick Carr missing. Somebody got Deshina Kyle missing. Somebody got the Cal City brothers missing. And somebody got Summer Wells missing. I do not believe that any of these cases are fluke incidents. They all got missing by the hands of another human being, or plural. If you want to donate to the channel, $Big Angie 129 Cash App. Thank you all for joining me. God bless all of you. Have a safe week. Prayers for the missing children. Prayers for the Cal City boys, that there's justice for them, that somebody will say something. Tell the truth. If you know something, call the California Bureau of Investigations. The reward is too high for someone not to say something. And frankly, there shouldn't even be any money involved for you to want to tell the truth and give pertinent information to the disappearance of these children. Money should never be an objective, ever. If you see something, say something. And I don't know if it's an issue of somebody worrying about their safety, why no one's come forward pertaining to the disappearance of the Cal City boys, but I feel like this, you can do anything anonymous as far as giving information. And once you give that information, it is up to the law officials to go from there and do their job. To do their job, because that is their job. Give them something so we can put an end to this story, because I don't want to be sitting up here talking about Cal City in October, November, December. Nor do I want to be doing the same with the disappearance of Summer Wells, Deshina Kyle, and Chadwick Carr. It's all the same to me. Prayers for all of these said people. Thank you all for joining me. This is Everyday Shenanigans.